Yeah. So
Hey,
it's,
Jeff. I see Jeff and Fernando and Anne. Hi, everybody.
I was just about to say we should probably Anne Marie, Fernando. So Jeff is actually someone new. I don't know if as we why don't we go ahead and start this off and we are recording it. All right. So let's officially kick this off. This is April 1st, and this is the Cybersecurity SIG meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Jeff, I don't mean to put you on the spot,
Mm-hmm.
but um, Tracy and I had a lovely conversation with him yesterday and would love to, why don't you introduce yourself and welcome.
Of course. Yeah, really glad to be here. So as Kate mentioned, I met with her and Tracy yesterday, had a good conversation about the work. It seems like it is very well aligned with some of the work that I am doing currently at my employer, Sandia National Laboratories, kind of helping to make the case amongst developers and development teams that secure software development is important, number one, and that we can kind of help to develop the tools to make their jobs easier, faster, and importantly more secure, um, which is my main concern as a cybersecurity analyst. I'll say I'm not a software developer. I have been in the past. But currently right now as a security architect, kind of helping Sandia and our customers to build resilient and secure and robust architectures. So I see this as being very overlapping in the Venn diagram with what you're doing. Just kind of excited to hear about the work you're doing. I'll presumably stay mostly quiet this time and listen to your objectives, your approach, all of that, and um, go from there. Happy to answer any questions.
That's
That's really
perfect.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am, so this is pretty much the cast of characters that come to these meetings. I don't, so do you guys, what do you think? Just, um, should we do a short introduction?
I think
why
so.
don't
I
we,
think that
yeah,
that would definitely help. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Especially for
Do
anyone who's new that's joining. It'd be good for them to hear a little bit about what we're doing in the group and kind of just a little bit of our background. So my name is Jude Wellington. I'm also a meetup organizer for the CI/CD West Coast meetup group through CDF, which used to be the Jenkins area meetup group, and then CD Foundation consolidated everything, and so now we're part of a much larger meetup group. So my goal is to try and bring these CI/CD cybersecurity meetups to a lot of folks in person, because we've not really done anything as a whole 1,700 member group in the CI/CD West Coast meetup group. So we really need to come together. And this is one of the reasons why I joined this committee, is to really kind of raise this awareness of what needs to be done in open source cybersecurity. And I really think that everything that we're doing so far is really leading up to what I think is going to be a very good series of events. We just now need sponsorships, right? Those are always very helpful. I know I've been in talks with CloudBees. I'm hoping to be in talks with other folks as well to kind of help. Again, we're just needing a place, like if we were going to do something in Boston or do something in Silicon Valley or do something in San Francisco or LA or New York or any of those areas, venues, and having the right type of format to host in-person meetups. include a meeting space and AV and pizza and beer, right? Those are like the minimum requirements. So that's kind of my priority, is to really bring this community together. And I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. So that's me.
Glad to see you have priorities in place.
Yes.
Pizza, beer among the top.
I actually met a colleague from Sandia National Labs. It's so funny. I was at a procurement event, and I met with a Megan Weaver at Sandia. And so she's responsible for a bunch of stuff that's going on with Sandia. So it's really cool that you're joining us.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll go next.
Small world. Of
I'm
course, thank you.
Roxanne. I work for the Continuous Delivery Foundation. I do all their content, so I'll be helping out to get the word out to everyone. Yeah, and if you have questions about the CDF, I'm always here.
Thank you.
I guess I can go next. So yeah, I'm Anne Marie Fred at Red Hat, and I've been working in the application security space since about 2018. I helped implement security checks and CI/CD pipelines first at IBM using like Travis CI and Jenkins, and then at Red Hat using Tecton. And so we have a lot of prior art in how to do SALSA compliance using CI/CD pipelines. And we really focus on open source tools to do that. So my interest is getting that information out there. You know, we can't share our whole security checklist, but we can certainly share the tools we use to meet the NIST requirements and so on, right? So that's my goal.
And you have one of my favorite GitHub character stickers. Yeah.
I love the OctoCats.
Okay. All right.
Okay, go. My name is Minnie Chen. I'm with Fidelity. Been in this industry for a while. Started 20-some years ago as an application developer, and then gradually transitioned to a management position, and been with Fidelity for about a little bit over 4 years. And I'm the product owner for the enterprise CI/CD platform. So my goal is here to listen in and learn and see whether I can offer any kind of practical experience that we have tools that's in our CI/CD platform. So.
Just for the record, I love Fidelity.
Me too.
Your app is, you know, probably one of the best in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Love the company. Yeah, love working for the company. Quite happy here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent.
I think I can go next. I'm Fernando Castillo. I'm a researcher at TU Berlin. My research field is on how to make trustworthy workflows, and the base for that could be having cybersecurity on the CI/CD pipelines. Thank you.
So I'll go last. My name is Chris. I'm based in Hong Kong, so Asian time zone. And I volunteer with Jenkins. That's like how I spent my spare time. And also, like I'm a software engineer by trade. And I'm mostly interested in cybersecurity because like it has to do like with how we secure software during the development cycle. And that's what I'm interested in mostly.
Great. And I think that's it. All right. Roxanne is actually going to kick us off. So she's been working on a landing page, and I think it will help us and guide us on like, why are we doing this? But go ahead, Roxanne.
Yeah, I made this page. This isn't your page. This is the DevOps initiative page, and I thought that the Cybersecurity SIG should have a similar page because you're doing similar things, and you need a page where people can find you and learn at a quick glance what you're doing, and if they want to join, maybe. So here there's a Google form. If you want one, I can make you one so people can join the initiative that you have. Then the GitHub repo, what the initiative is, the meeting
So,
recordings. Yes?
yeah, so if I could just ask a question about the form.
Mhm.
Are they leaving an email address in that form? And
Yes.
does that give us the green light to actually communicate with them?
Yeah, I
on a
put
regular-
I can put a little note, but I can put a checkbox at the bottom saying by completing this form you will be communicated with, but it basically if you want to
Yeah,
join the initiative. So
okay, yeah, yeah.
and
Because
then
that would help, I think, in terms of how we're going to build the database of folks that we want to have constant or at least some level of consistent outreach to, right?
right, but you also have a mailing list. My mouse is acting up, 1 second. You have a mailing list just like the Data Ops Initiative where they can just join and you can
Okay,
email them from there. So it's
perfect.
two different things.
Okay,
The emails that I get in the form, I don't share them out
yeah,
to like be communicated to outside of the like
right,
initiative, right?
right, right.
Um, so then list the meetings, the recordings as a playlist, the contributors, so whoever wants to be there can be there. Any events or recordings that we've had or upcoming blog posts, and then just how to contact us. So
Oh,
I
that's perfect.
started a
Yeah.
page and the description is pretty long, so I think we would need to maybe make that shorter. I took that from the announcement blog post.
Mm.
And then I just put a few people that I knew are part of the initiative, but we can also add everyone else, obviously, or make changes how you see fit. So yeah,
Mhm.
feedback welcome, comments, concerns.
And you will manage this page
Yes, I
ongoing
manage
now?
the
Okay.
CDF website, so this would be a page that would hopefully only be updated once every few weeks, if there's an event or
Mhm.
what you
One of
would
the
update,
things,
or I think it's a
yeah,
place where people can come and go to the best practices page you're building and go to the repo and like a place that connects everything and that we
okay,
can communicate and say, here, we're doing this right now. So
yeah,
when I
yeah,
do a profile on Kate, for example, I can say, she's leading the cybersecurity SIG. What is that? And then I can lead to this page.
okay.
And
It
Jude,
also
doesn't that take care of one of the things that you were talking about working on?
Yes, absolutely. The one thing that I would like to add is, a sort of get involved section, which means, of course, signing up and being a active contributor, but also being some sort of sponsor as well. So for example, if Fidelity said, hey, you know what, we really would like to spend more time with this group at these various meetups. This is what we think we could spend to help with these meetups, or some other companies. The other thing is creating these locations that could be um, in partnership with certain conferences as well. Like, for example, we have RSA that's coming into the San Francisco Bay Area towards the end of April. And we would love to say, hey, RSA community, we're having this, meetup at this space. Please join us, or something like that, right? So I'm trying to spread the word as well to all of our other communities that would really benefit from learning more about this group.
We also have a calendar where I put any event that's
Ah,
related to the
perfect.
CDF. So you
Okay.
just send me any event that you have and I can put it
Okay.
there and then have a description.
Mhm.
Um,
Do you
um,
have a form or anything you use in terms of the information I need to provide when you are submitting content into this web page?
right here.
Ah, right there. Okay. That's it.
I'll
Okay.
drop a link in the chat.
Okay.
If I can find the chat, it always moves.
So I personally like this. I think it's, I think it will help,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to, work on this a little bit, as well. If anybody
If
else
you-
has any,
If you want, I can drop the text in a Google Doc and then you can edit it, and then that's easier for me to just
Okay.
then just drop the text that you want there. And I can create a Google Drive where people can drop their photos and
Oh,
stuff like that.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. And did you want a Google form like the Data Ops Initiative?
I think so.
yeah, I think it's nice. I think the way you did that's good.
Okay. And how do people contribute? Do we want to specify, or should it just be join and see? I can also put this in a Google Doc and you can,
Yeah. I think right now join and see. I don't know if anybody else, Henry or anybody else have anything. Yes.
You mean whether we should have this question about how you want to contribute?
yeah.
You know, I don't know if that's the right location, but giving companies an opportunity to say, hey, I'm interested in maybe partnering, but we have to vet that company that wants to potentially partner with us to see if it is an appropriate fit, right? So how do we, if some company says we would like to participate or sponsor, but we don't really know who they are, what is the vetting process you think we should go through in terms of allowing companies to sponsor this SIG?
I have to ask the Linux Foundation what the rules are around sponsorship and what I can put on the page and all of that.
Yeah.
So I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
But it would probably, if we can do it, it would probably be like somewhere here, at the bottom,
Exactly.
sponsor.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
okay, so I'll create
Cool.
a doc with the text, and we can go from there.
Excellent. Thank you. All right.
Maybe do you want to put the form in the doc too?
Yeah, I will.
Get that
Maybe
going.
I'll do
Okay.
2 separate ones and share it with all of you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. So there's a couple of things that we need to discuss. As we discussed 2 weeks ago about this being a working session, there has been some updates to the website I'm going to show to that document. As you know, our goal is, I don't know, I think it's a well-known goal. And if not, it's good to establish that, is we're hoping to have this done, if possible, by the September timeframe. And in so doing, start to socialize it in a big way. So one of our goals, right, is the idea of how Tracy broke it down into 3 easy steps. And in so doing, because there's already so much out there, hopefully we'll be able to simplify something that is very, very unfortunately difficult, and we're putting that heavy burden on the developers. So I'm glad, I'm really glad to have another cybersecurity person out here. So let me go ahead and share up just a couple of things here. Before moving forward, I do want to share something with you guys. that's separate, and it's you know, who doesn't love spreadsheets? Just like PowerPoints. Anyway, one of the things that we talk about a lot is about mappings. And what I wanted to show is that as a lot of mappings have already been done. So if we can get this I believe that if we can get this part down, you know, the whole security software, you know, development framework, it's going to be really easy then on that back end to tie in all these other ones. On the call yesterday, we were talking about, you know, CSF, part of NIST, IEC, which is, you know, a part of the, what I dealt with a lot with IoT devices, in critical infrastructure. So a lot of this has already been done. And so if we do this part, the mapping's already there for the other parts. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm gonna, when I stop this, I'm gonna go ahead and go to now something else from a fire. So does that make sense? You know, for those who don't deal with auditors on an everyday basis, often, one of the most important things that I've discovered, and Jeff, you know, I'd like to know your opinion here, but for me, I find that if you have that information that says, you know, this is a vulnerability, this is the mitigating control, or this is why we have established this policy to cover this. I have found that the auditors are good about that. As long as you have that documentation, as long as you have that everything written down, that you can go back to it. And that's what I feel like we're trying to establish here. Would you agree with that, with having dealt with auditors and?
Yeah, for sure. So their main concern is to know that usually you're working towards a standard or objective, whether it be, you know, PCI DSS or the NIST cybersecurity framework, et cetera. A lot of people don't really care much for frameworks, but I think that I kind of love them because they help organizations to think through all of the things that they might not otherwise think of, right? But your answer was specifically about auditors. And I agree with what you said, that an auditor is going to look for evidence, right? So have you implemented, or number one, do you have a process to achieve whatever standard you're trying to achieve? Have you implemented it consistently? And is there evidence? An audit is only a point in time, right? But they often look to make sure that it's something that you maintain consistently. And therefore it would likely continue to maintain.
Yeah.
So how does that fit with this group? I think that the CD tools really help to implement best practices on a ongoing and continuous basis, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's a long way of saying yes.
No, I really like, and I kind of like frameworks. I love frameworks. Yes. I love frameworks. I personally, so, because it helps, it provides guidance for us, right? So Chris, oh, Chris, okay. Darn it. Yeah, here we go. Okay. One of the problems that we were having, and Chris helped here, is putting in a a table. And I know that things are done by, committee. I happen, it, as you know, I don't think markdown language is friendly personally, but, I'm not a coder. And anyway, so this is something that Chris did. So when you look at this table, this is the way it comes out. So how do we feel? I know we were sort of struggling with putting in columns, and Chris, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about this.
I could, because like I think this is like pretty simple layout wise, because like, I'm not sure like if we want more features like fixed header or something like that for table, if that's probably possible, but we have to consider like how to generalize the different types of table we want to have. Also, like for this one, you can actually scroll horizontally. So if you I tested it out like using icons too, so it looks like it works pretty well, and we can change the colors too for that. So we can have like more complicated diagrams, like in case that we want to show like the different classes, different categories of say like maybe criteria or something like, or like maybe a product or a service that's often in open source. We can do that too. So we can like rank them as well, I think, using a dark table. So but we can also tweak this one to make it like to update the layout, like to change the color, to change the fonts, and other, like we can do a lot with it, but those need to be discussed later.
And so if you remember, a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was maybe about a month, Ed from Fidelity, he was looking at a table. We were all talking about tables, and one of the problems that we were having was, how could we get the layout? And we talked about different colors. We talked about different tools, because at the end, we're going to see what tools keep coming up as we put them down. And I hope, and that as we start to see this, that that we'll be able to say, OWASP, whatever, this satisfies, and we'll be able to look at column 3, like look at how many boxes we're able to check off. And so if a coder comes to this, they're going to say, oh yeah, look, and I'm going to be able then to check off all these boxes. I think that's sort of the idea that we were talking about. So anyway, if people on the call, if you guys are okay to, when we're talking about tables, to go forward in this manner, or you guys want to do something different.
There's two things that I would want to change for sure. One is I don't think we want horizontal scroll. That's really hard for people to read. Like I think it would be better to fit to the table width and wrap the text instead.
That's a good idea.
And yeah, and can we also make this inline instead of a new window?
That's kind of hard to do. So you mean like we can see the background, right, with some kind of like modal.
We should be able to do on the same page with the table. I'm just wondering that when we have this table, do we column 2, is that supposed where the tool is supposed to be listed, or for each kind of the original from the framework that it's kind of like this, like RV1. Okay, RV1, maybe build it as a table. On the very left is RV1, then the task is maybe the second column, and then maybe the third column is the tool. And the fourth column, that could be the readiness for the each tool. I think that's kind of incorporate what the what Ed sent to you and earlier. I think last week, the table format that he was proposing.
I think we do have some in the code base right now. So if I think it could go to code and pre-built to so somewhere like we have a table. So because like we tried out before that's more like inline and on the same page. But so like for some more complicated tables, I think it's like maybe a pop-up would be better because like if we have like a lot of information to contain, like if we like cram everything into like a small area like what we have now, maybe it kind of hard to read unless like we make the font smaller, but then like it would be like difficult for some people to like to see the words too.
I think we should think about at what level we get into a table, right? Like, I think one mega table to represent the whole thing is pretty hard to deal with. But if we didn't drop into a table until a lower level, like, I don't know if it would be like at the level RV1 would have its own table, and then RV2 would have another one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So RV1 with its own table with all its tasks for RV1. How many tasks we're talking about?
Like the tool list would be a table, basically.
Like the table would be associated with. I wonder then if we should go up a level though, like to respond to vulnerabilities. Let me ask you, would it make more sense out of curiosity if next to the tools, the more like this one, like the more like there's a few that just keep coming up, right? And I know that yeah, I mean, can we make it like put like this, I don't know, put OWASP as an example, like this, if it satisfies percentage wise, from a low hanging fruit, let's say 60% or 50%, would it be possible to put like a link that's maybe a green dot that would represent like this is high on the list of a lot of tools that, or a lot of things that can be done via OWASP. And then you click on like this green dot, and it then will, almost like we're working backwards, it will then say, if you take on this tool, it will satisfy RV1, it will satisfy PO1, it would take you through all these different ones. Does that make
And
sense? Or is
that's
that
the kind of the reverse lookup that we're gonna build. I think after we did the first phase first, we probably have to have all the tool to go through. Okay, RV2 here, what tool will work for that, right?
That would be like having a subpage for each tool then. But yeah, I would agree with Minnie. I thought we were going to build that after we did the first pass.
afterwards? Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna do this first part like RV2, right? There are two tasks under RV2, RV2. So do we need to identify, go down to the subtask level to say, hey, this tool will satisfy this RV 2.1 task? Because like looking at the table on the framework, there are two tasks for that. So do we need to go down to that detail, or we said, okay, RV tool and these three tools will satisfy that? That's where
That's
the table come from.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So okay, so
If I
just
can
in
jump in,
general,
I've got a question about open source versus commercial. Some of these tools are available in both distributions, right? Open source and commercial, like SonarQube, for instance. And I'm wondering, is our commitment to stay only with open source tools, or are we listing commercial as well? And kind of related to, I guess it was Jude's question earlier about sponsorship. how, apart from, just name placement and that sort of thing, how are we going to recognize that these people have sponsored the applications if we're listing them? Over.
Yeah, that's a very good point. At least from that standpoint, I think our message has to be one of trying to be as agnostic as possible, because we are really looking for an open source. From what I'm understanding, the goal of this, SIG is to really identify the open source security framework out there, and according to the 3 sections of code and pre-build, build and deploy, post and deploy, we're trying to create these working sessions around these, and identifying which of the tools actually has an enterprise layer that one has to pay for in order to get the additional benefits, I think would be important to call out, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that I'm a strong believer in open source, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But there are lots of organizations that just want to write a check and have a tool that is going to work right out of the box. Because there's costs associated with operating open source, and there's costs associated with buying commercial. And if you're dealing with companies that are, say, not primarily technology companies, usually they're going to want a ready-to-go solution, so they can focus on whatever they're doing, which is not technology, but they have a solution in place. And if that's out of scope for this group, I accept that.
No, it's not. I put in SonarQube because my thought process was that there was a free part, right? But I know that, they definitely have they definitely have licenses and everything else. It's a good question. It's something that I struggled with. It's one of the reasons why I put it on there, because I thought to myself, well, it's something that definitely we should discuss. Because as a person who has come from total proprietary and I believe in open source, and I think it's a great thing, a great equalizer. So then do we then get rid of anything commercial? Everything commercial, like that has a commercial element? Yeah,
My feeling is just the opposite, to list all of the tools that are available that accomplish that objective, but just highlight if they're commercial versus open source or both.
Or say both. Yeah. Originally, we were gonna try to do open source, and then I think we sort of talked about we weren't sure on going commercial yet, and that's why I had put that in there. But I think designating that this also has what you said, it's also commercial as well. That yeah, I think that's highlighting that's a good.
Yeah, so for instance, if something can run in the cloud as software as a service, I think it's going to make the path to implementation probably easier for some organizations, versus having to stand up computing resources either on-prem or in the cloud, and installing the application and keeping it updated, etc.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like one of the kind of barriers to adoption is how much time is this going to take? How much is it going to cost, right? And is it going to slow down our developers, or is it going to slow them down? This kind of summarizes it all. And cost happens in a variety of different ways. It could be money cost, writing a check, or it could be time cost. Go ahead, Kate.
No, you're absolutely right. And our hope in this group is to bring up the challenges that are real, and that's a real challenge that DevOps operation, that they're going to face. So as we're building this out, I do think that identifying those challenges are important, and that we should add it and think about it as we're putting this together, because we don't want to get to the end of this as I've done, not here, but with other things, and be like, it not be practical, with it not
Yeah.
being like it. I mean, that's really important at the end of the day.
For sure. Okay. Sorry if I distracted. There was a comment in there that we still need to get back to the question about tables.
Okay. So I did like so was it Minnie who talked about having a table within, like within the okay. So let's talk about tables. What's everybody, does somebody have a prevailing opinion here about how we should go about this? I think the word wrap idea was good. I think that was Roxanne. Am I right?
I think it was Anne, but
Yeah. Yeah. And then Chris, has an example of an embedded table. I guess we just need to decide what the rows and columns are, right? Because here it says column 1, column 2, so I think we can't even map in our brains what that means yet. So what are the rows and columns that we're going for? In the
It's
table.
just arbitrary now. It's just a testing table.
Right.
What was that, Chris? One more time, please.
Oh, it's just a testing table. So columns are just to show like where we can have for the columns and how it will look. Because like for the original table where I take the data from, there were no header. It's like that. There's no like indication of which column is which and what they stand for.
Right. So
Was
what do we want to start in the tables? Go ahead.
No, please, you go first.
So I think, if we just figure that out, like where it stops being a doc and it becomes a table would make sense to
Okay.
just decide that, right? Like I know that you can't put a lot of text in a table. So tables work better if you have a lot of information that you're trying to convey in a small amount of space.
So with smaller font, I know somebody brought
No,
that
no,
up.
no, not smaller font. It's when you have something that you're trying to convey, you have a bunch of things that have a lot of things in common and you're trying to compare them to each other, right?
Yeah.
So like you wouldn't put the description of a control into a table, ideally, but
I think I see what you're saying. So you're saying like threat detection, and then like in compliance enforcement, this as an example could be, and do we need the description on what it is? I wonder.
yeah, I guess, so for each of these controls, we have a list of tools, right? So you can either have a mega table where you have like a header within the table that says automated threat detection, and then a tool list underneath it. Or you can just have the doc itself have a section that says automated threat detection, and then the tool list is the table. Does that make sense?
Can I maybe share what I was trying to convey real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to try with the Excel, which is probably I'm good at that a little bit better. So what I was saying that this is what the format, the framework, right? So you have whatever the control is, then the subtask, and then I'm thinking that maybe for us, then we can use similar format, but here we list out all the tools that will meet that requirement or provide that whatever coverage for that task. And then we can indicate, this can be icons like green, yellow, red, whatever that we think is appropriate for that tool to cover that task. Would that make sense? That to, you know, we don't, it's not one mass table, but because we already break down the each session to smaller like PO session, PWS session. So each those will have a small table for the PO. Because this is only 3 tasks for the PO, right? And then another table for whatever there's more than PO. So there are PO2 and PO3 and so on and so forth. I don't know how big the table gonna be, but maybe that is a format that, to me, that just tells me, okay, I look at that, I want to perform this task, and this is the tool that I can use.
I think I can do that, but would that be possible for you to share this like table with me so I can have it on record and update my PR accordingly?
This is in Excel. I just put it out from the list framework.
Oh,
Just
okay.
to demonstrate. But I can probably figure out the code for the markup. It shouldn't be too difficult, but we have to try. I'm not a very good programmer either. In Excel, I can do a lot of things. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe this format of table. What do you guys think? And the rest of the column is, don't worry about that. Yeah, but just 4 columns.
I like that. Personally, and looking at it. So, and yeah, well, how does,
How that gonna convey it in the markup language? That's another thing.
and I think Chris can help there, right, Chris?
Yeah, I can.
Like if she has a table, she can actually take the spreadsheet and make the table.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So So if you don't, Chris, you know, if we agree with this, I can also send over what I have, which is, very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out of,
Okay, I can.
Yeah, I just grabbed it out from the framework document, then they just copy and paste it in the Excel. That's all. Once you open that PDF in Word, you can copy the table over to Excel. You just paste and you got it.
Okay, I see.
That's from the SS framework. That's all. There's the table starting. So we basically replace this 2 column with what we want to convey, the tools and whatever we think the tool is, how much it can do for that task.
Okay, I'll make one. This next few weeks.
well, I think that what Minnie is putting in though, she like the task and the tools. Can you go back to that original doc, your PDF?
Yeah.
So the task and the tool. Do you have the task as built? Or did you change that up?
No, I don't have that. I did not add in the I'm thinking that we're probably gonna need one for each because it's the way break it down like whole and then it go into each smaller page, right? So each of those
Right.
will be a table.
Right.
For that, just that control.
Right.
So for PO, for code and pre-bill, we only gonna have whatever this PO 1, PO 2, PO 3, PO 4, God, PO 5. Okay, so 5 PO. Then with whatever subtask under it. That might be PO might be the biggest one. And then that PO table likely gonna be replicated under each of this, stage of the whole SDLC cycle. So because this has PO as well, the way it's
Yeah.
so
And Jeff did add something to the comment about keeping the descriptions concise, and I do think that that's important, so it just doesn't blow up.
Right.
The shorter the better, and I
Yep.
I think Anne-Marie was talking about that too. So, all right. So I wonder if so if we can take this, what you have with the tools, the readiness, I would get rid of everything over,
Oh, everything on the right is gone. This, we
Yeah.
shouldn't need this 2 column.
yeah. Because we can get that later and map it if we, that's going to be easy at the end,
Yeah.
I think. So,
Yeah, let me make a PR for this. So,
okay. Because I even think, I mean, with that, Minnie, with the very first description,
Mhm.
do we even need that much? I mean, can we even
We can probably get rid of this because when we have the page, why don't we put that PO, like those verbiage here,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Then we going into the task. Maybe for
Right.
PO1, we have a session here, PO1, then the table for PO 1.1, 1.2, and
Yeah, I think
1.3.
that would
Then
be
with the
easier.
PO, yeah.
So just
about
delete the first column out of the table, right? It's part of the
Yeah,
page.
we get rid of this one. So we're leaving just this table, 1, 2, 3 for PO1. So then we create a session. We have like PO3, right? We have PO3 there. So let's say PO3, we have a table for PO those 3. That might make more organized, and then it break it down so we don't have a one big table,
Yeah,
right?
because I think it would become overwhelming.
Yeah, this is more readable.
Yeah.
yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, then we'll just put it under this explanation of PO3, then 1, 2, 3 down here with a table.
I like it. Chris, is that doable?
Yep.
Okay. And then do we put it within the, then do we put it
Within the
within,
page.
put it within the page? A
I
link?
think
Or,
inline might be, I don't know. I like inline. I don't like open up new page because when you have new pages, a lot of time might be open up a lot of new pages. See, I have so many browsers open.
Yeah, me too. I have like 70 browsers, windows open, times 3 tabs,
Yeah.
3 windows. Yeah.
We can see how much we got. If it's really a long page, then we can, I guess we can open up, link to a new page with the table in it. How about that?
okay. Chris?
So it's like if it's just 3 columns now.
So just 3 column now, just the task, the tool, and whatever the readiness,
Right.
whatever we call it this column. So just 3 column now.
But
Okay.
then if you look, yeah, column B and C there are each like multi-row.
Yeah, they're multi-row. Each tool should have a row. So this part you just merge them together, but on this one, each tool should have their own row.
Okay, should be doable, yeah.
I think in markup you might have to using HTML here to do the break of the break of the row stuff.
I like it. All right. We've agreed on that. So then for our next meeting, should we then, Chris, hey, that's, I don't know if that's gonna be too much in 2 weeks.
Should be enough. Yeah, should be enough time. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I would try
Okay.
to do it like within this week, if possible.
Okay. Great. Okay. And Roxanne. Okay. Always copy edit text. Cool. All right, guys. It's 12:28. Or 2 minutes to the. Anything else we want to? The only other thing I wonder now, if I can share this, because in GitHub, I started to share this up, and then let's see here. So I started, I don't know if this makes any sense, but and I don't know if this is the best way to do it or not.
Oh
in,
yeah,
you know,
to-do lists, and then people
Yeah.
can say what they're signing up for.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Actually.
All right. And I don't know whether we want to break this up into more like make it a sub issue of this, or do we want to? So yeah, I mean we can assign labels and people, and you guys are probably far more competent in this than I am. But this was just something that Tracy brought up yesterday. And so I don't know if it's best to do, what's the best way to do this, as I started to play with it today. So I would love some, for people who are better at this than I am, I would love to know what you think and what makes sense.
Yeah, Kate, we use GitHub issues like that too. And yeah, the to-do lists are good and people can just check them off. I think we could play around with how much you break it down into separate issues, but this works.
All right. Excellent. All right. Anything else, everyone?
Yeah, just one last thing. There's the Secure Chain conference that is coming up May 16th. Today is the last day for anyone that's interested in wanting to do a talk. We are going to be doing a talk, so we are working on our abstract and trying to get that approved right now. So Kate will be our featured speaker for that talk. But if anybody else wants to put a talk together, today is the last day. So please make sure you get your talk in if you're interested. That's it.
That concludes. Really appreciate everyone's time. I really do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that, the spreadsheet work. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for, really getting down to the details here. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I know.
Bye-bye.